Howdy partner, it's your boy Aeons. On a long spiteful day of blizzard and bad luck, with a horse as stubborn as a mule, and a gang held together by hope and fraying rope, that's how Red Dead Redemption 2 drops you into the dying age of the Wild West. It doesn't say go be a hero, it says survive son, and somehow it makes you want to live in that dusty, fading cowboy era. I'll be honest, the first few hours of Red Dead Redemption 2 hooks you with the world building, at least for me. It unfolds slowly like a slow burn, with each campfire or town visit building its rhythm. And when it clicks, it really clicks. You start noticing how alive everything feels. The birds, the wind, the low murmur of a saloon, it just gives a sense that you're in the space itself. At some point, I realized I was spending more time hunting than actually robbing trains. I told myself it was for survival, but really it was because I got lost in the wilderness, tracking a deer through the woods while the fog rolls in, and your horse quietly huffs behind you. That's when the game shows its teeth. The whole hunting activity itself is addicting, with game mechanics that force both patience and skill to play part.
Okay, take a good look around, ladies. Let's see what we got here.
Let's talk about side activities. There's an absurd variety here. Poker when you're pretending to be civilized, dominoes when you're actually bored, or the classic 5-finger fillet to earn some cash. Each activity feels grounded in the world, not bolted on. I spent whole evenings tinkering with my guns and brushing my horse, knowing full well it wouldn't save me from getting ambushed on the road. Or would it? But it does make the world feel like a living routine. Dirty, slow, but strangely satisfying. Then again, that's what makes it so immersive. The roads can feel empty at times, stretching into silence for quite a bit, but just when you start to think the map's gone quiet, a wagon rolls past or a cry for help echoes from the woods. Random events break the monotony perfectly, a stranded traveler here, and an ambush there. It's the kind of sparseness that works because it makes the encounters just enough to keep the wilderness feel like it's lived in.
Let me out of here! What did they do? Talk back?
And those encounters, the NPCs in Red Dead Redemption 2 are arguably some of the most believable I've seen. They'll greet you kindly when you're clean, and recoil if you walk into town covered in mud or blood.
You're covered in blood, man.
They have their daily routines, like chopping wood, sitting by campfires, and getting into bar fights. But after some time you might see the same NPCs, just like the usual open world RPGs. But either way, it still makes the world feel populated. Now if you didn't know, I'm a big customization guy. And Red Dead Redemption 2 just made me feel right at home. See, I'm not usually the kind of player who obsesses over beard growth, but Red Dead Redemption 2 convinced me it mattered. Arthur's hair grows over time, and his beard sways in the wind. Now while these aren't the customization features themselves, they're a detail that pushes you to customize your hair. The same goes for weapons and outfits. Your rifle can be modified down to its barrel length and engraving, and clothing actually affects temperature, meaning I had to put on a coat at night and strip down in the desert. It sounds tedious, and sometimes it is, but it reinforces that everything you do in this world has meaning. You're not an untouchable hero, you're a man slowly worn down by time, dirt, and bullets. And yet, for all its realism, the world knows when to let loose. You can fast travel via train or stagecoach, and it doesn't break immersion because it feels like it's part of the setting. Watching the countryside blur by while Arthur stares out the window gives those fast travels a cinematic weight. You never really leave the world. It carries you even through shortcuts.
Come on, there's gotta be a fight every night in that shithole.
Just show some respect next time. We've run far worse than you out of town before.
Then there's the moral system. The honor mechanic tweaks how people react and how certain moments play out, but it never flips the story entirely. I think that's part of its charm. It's not a game about branching morality, it's about reflecting what kind of outlaw you choose to be. I tried to play good Arthur, but I'll admit, sometimes it's tempting to switch over to the other side.
Give it to the poor, brother.
Thank you.
It's funny, because halfway through my playthrough, I realized I'd spent my time gambling away my money in the minigames more than the main story missions. The side content doesn't push you along the main plot, it pulls you away from it, and that's both its beauty and its flaw. You can spend countless hours bounty hunting and hunting bears without ever finishing the story, and by the time you finally do, you almost forget you're part of an organized gang. The open world side content becomes its own playground of distractions. Don't get me wrong though, the main story is great, the narrative is heavy, personal, and lingers long after the credits. It just doesn't offer enough motivation outside of these to return to the main story. But what it does give you is a world that screams the Wild Wild West all the way through. You can feel it in the small stuff. The law doesn't teleport, witnesses sprint to alert sheriffs, wanted posters go up, and bounty hunters track you across county lines, which makes every bad choice feel like it follows you. Even in cutscenes, where your moral standing is represented by, oddly enough, a deer or a wolf. And beyond those moments, Red Dead Redemption 2's attention to physical simulation is just absurd. Your health changes with your weight, your guns degrade, clothes stain over time, and even your camp evolves based on donations. I can't tell you how many times I've found myself just sitting by the fire, watching my gang banter about nonsense, realizing that these small, mundane moments are where the game truly shines. This unique feature is what makes this game a one-of-a-kind open world. But how about you? Do you guys feel the same way? Let us know in the comments if you've already played the game.
They expressly told me not to kill you.
Oh, this is about you.
Don't jump!
Or what? You can't shoot me, no!
Please.
I'll take my chance.
Come here!
Bye, friend!
So yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of those games where you stop playing to win and start existing in its world. Brushing your horse, staring at the sunset, or just listening to someone hum by the campfire. For anyone who loves open worlds that breathe rather than shout, this one feels less like visiting the Wild West back in time and more like living in it. Red Dead Redemption 2 has a wide range of side activities, and most of them blend into the world without feeling forced. You can sit down for poker or blackjack in saloons, and soak in the saloon atmosphere. Hunting is more than just shooting animals. You track footprints, follow trails, and use specific weapons if you want better pelts. There's also fishing and small chores around camp, and you'll also come across stranger missions, which can be simple errands or odd side stories that pop up while you're traveling. None of these activities shout for attention, they're just a part of the environment, available if you feel like taking a break from the main story or earning a bit of cash on the side.
I guess I'm done.
Get that barrel to the shit pile, and I suppose you is.
When it comes to area freedom, the seamless travel and expansive land make exploration feel natural. You can wander into forests, swamps, mountains, or towns without the game stopping to load anything. That said, you can enjoy traveling through these landscapes with your horse or train if you're into cinematic fast travel. But for players who enjoy taking their time, the terrain changes and small encounters along the way give the world a sense of continuity.
Lord, save me!
Now when you go into the towns, they feel active without being overly busy. People move around with a purpose. Shopkeepers open and close their stores, workers haul crates, and locals chat or argue on porches. Out in the wilderness, you hear distant gunshots or animals rustling through bushes. On long empty roads, it sometimes feels empty, but there are still wagons passing by, so it doesn't feel completely abandoned. Nothing is exaggerated, but the combination of small sounds and subtle activity makes the world feel like it's functioning whether you're paying attention or not.
Our numbers are waning, thanks to the fools in Congress and their ludicrous ideas.
Talking about customization, there's plenty to tweak without getting lost. Guns get real part upgrades and style touches like medals and engravings. Clothing is fashion and function with the temperature system and a mask for crimes. Horses gain both look and stat boosts from gear. Camp donations unlock small conveniences, while trinkets and talismans add passive bonuses. And the barber lets Arthur range from clean-shaven to pomaded outlaw, resulting in a game with a variety of options to customize your character.
Can't fight change.
The story has a slow and steady burn, but the freedom the game gives you keeps pulling you off course. One moment you're riding toward a mission, And the next thing you're caught up in a hunt, a stranger encounter, or some random event on the road, hours disappear just like that. The game doesn't push you forward. It lets curiosity drag you around until you eventually return to the main plot. That type of engagement doesn't push you to finish the game, at least in our books. The main story is great, but don't you think they should introduce something new into the overall gameplay to keep things engaging? Let us know if you agree. What stands out about Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't the size of the map. It's the game's focus on realism over spectacle. Your character deals with basic needs, your equipment degrades, and the environment affects how you travel based on the morality you show in the game. Other games tend to streamline these things, but here they're part of the experience. It doesn't make the game better for everyone, but it does give it a unique tone, one that treats the world like a functioning environment you're passing through, set in the immersive theme of the Wild West.
Bill! Guns on the ground, now! Both of you! Don't do it! You know we can't do that. You put the gun down, Sheriff! I'll blow it!
So Rockstar has done it again, folks. They created an open world set in the Old West worth remembering, placing it as an A tier at GameTyr.